Can you guess which one of these two shirts sold for a lot more than the other? If you guessed this one, then you are absolutely right. But the real question is, why? Is it because of the detailed product description, the better mockups, or the more honest reviews? Well, yeah, it is. But all of that stuff boils down to one reason that's keeping almost 70% of your buyers from hitting that checkout button: trust. It's a simple concept that can have a huge impact when you sell online, including being the difference between making a sale and losing it. That's why today I'm going to tell you about 5 different things you can do to not only establish trust, but also boost those profits. Let's get into it. Online shoppers care about 3 simple things. Will the item they're paying for be exactly what they get? Will it arrive on time? And what happens if something goes wrong? On top of that, they also want to learn all this information as quickly as possible. According to one report, most buyers spend around 90 seconds looking at a product page. So how can we build enough trust for a buyer to want to choose our product in 90 seconds or less? It all starts with transparency. Be upfront about your product size, its material, the return policies, your shipping costs, all of that right away. The goal is to create enough confidence for a buyer to feel like they can follow through with their purchase. So how do we do that? By first cleaning up our product description. Start by putting in a few key details about your product right up top using bullet points. For example, what is your product? What's it made of? And more importantly, why do I need it? Next, take a moment to talk about what makes your product stand out. Is there something special about its quality or a story behind it that's worth mentioning? This is also a good place to mention any perks you might be offering, like free shipping or discounts on larger orders. Try breaking up this information using quality badges or trust seals or even emojis. See, like pictures, these icons can tell a customer a lot about a product very quickly. Remember, the clock is ticking on our sales window, so we need to move fast. Finally, wrap everything up with confidence builders like a return policy, delivery times, or even any unexpected costs. Any unexpected costs, by the way, are the #1 reason that people abandon their carts, which is why it's super important that we don't surprise our buyers with anything. The more they know, the more confident they'll feel to hit that buy button. After updating your product description, if you find you're getting traffic but your sales are still low, it might not be what you're saying that's the issue. In fact, I'm willing to bet that somewhere on your store, the vibes are off, which is why it's a good idea at this point to zoom out and evaluate the look and feel of your store as a whole. You can tell someone how great your store or your product is all day long, but for them to actually trust you, they're going to need to see it to believe it. That's why visual cues, whether we pick up on them or not, can tell us a lot about a seller. For example, have you ever been to an online store where one product has a ton of mockups and then another product for some reason only has one? Or maybe you picked up on a typo or mismatched fonts or even too many pop-ups or ad banners. At a certain point, whether it's just one of these issues or all of these issues at once, an alarm goes off in your brain. There's just too many red flags for you to feel comfortable putting your money down. And so what do? You move on. And that kind of sucks if you're an honest online seller who just made a simple mistake. Essentially, what your buyer's experienced internet brain is picking up on is inconsistency. If things aren't adding up, the safest choice is no choice. The good news is, whether you sell on a marketplace or your own store page, there's a simple checklist you can follow to make sure you stay consistent every single time. First, keep your store's font, color palette, tone of voice, and branding the same across your entire site. All right, that goes for your store socials and even any other sales channel that you sell on. A unified look for your buyers, no matter where they find your products, will immediately make them feel more reliable. Second, add high-quality mockups that show your product from all angles. What you really want to focus on is showing your item in use. That way, your buyer can picture themselves with your product. This helps them make a personal connection to it. But if you ask me, if you really want to go the extra mile, make sure to really include product videos. They are a huge purchase motivator online. Third, if you're planning on selling abroad, make sure your prices are in the local currency that you plan to sell in. A majority of shoppers get intimidated by foreign elements because they make them feel that this product might not be for them. Fourth, if you are selling through your own homepage, try to really limit the number of ads, pop-ups, or discount banners that you have. This makes your store come off as too spammy, and we can all agree that is just not the right vibe. Finally, make sure your store looks and works great on mobile. A majority of your shoppers will be looking at your products through their phone, which is why you want to make sure it's easy to get around not only your product page, but your store overall. Once everything looks consistent and polished, you're already halfway to building trust. The next thing your buyers will be looking for is reassurance. One of the first things that I always check for when I'm buying online is the reviews. And if you've ever done the same and kind of felt like something was off, you're not alone. In fact, fake reviews are a thing. And that's because the first advice that any online seller gets when they start their online store is to get your friends and your family to write those reviews for you. And that's good advice because those reviews actually help those algorithms start listing your items higher and higher in search results. However, some bad actors have used this as an excuse to inflate their own positive reviews. In fact, there have even been cases of some sellers maliciously leaving their competitors bad reviews on purpose to lower their customers' trust and their ranking on the algorithm. It's just another example of how something like trust can eventually affect your bottom line. So how can we help our buyers actually trust what people are saying about our product? Well, by taking the good with the bad. Let me explain. Wouldn't it be great if we all got as many 5-star reviews as possible? Yeah, it would be. But too many 5-star reviews, especially if they come without comments or pictures, honestly starts to feel a little sus, which is why the better thing to do is to focus on the way that you respond to comments. So be polite, address concerns, and really show your buyers that you care about resolving issues. That way, if anything goes wrong, they know that you have their back. Of course, if you're just starting out and you don't have any reviews and you don't want to ask other people to write them for you, the next way to start building trust is with great content. One of the many things that top sellers have in common is their ability to connect their catalog with their content. Basically, they understand that for the same reason we want to see items being used in mockups or read real reviews from real people is that there's a lot of value to be learned from the experience of others. This is called social proof and can happen in a lot of ways. And before you freak out and think, oh, I gotta go learn a new TikTok dance or start my own podcast, take a breath, because the best advice is to start simple. Write a store bio and include a picture of yourself so folks know who they're buying from. Talk about why you started your store or what makes you special. Then, put up pictures and videos of yourself with your products to your store socials. And as more sales start to come in, try to get your buyers to do the same. This is called user-generated content and is a huge reason why many brands go viral. If you want to take things to another level though, try starting a blog or even partnering with an influencer. Heck, go live on your store socials and be your own influencer. This not only will motivate people to buy from you, but by keeping up with your content, it'll encourage them to come back for more. Of course, building trust isn't just something that happens before making a sale, it's also something that happens after you make it. Whether you've just been on a great date or received a great product, a good experience is nothing without a proper follow-up. That's a life lesson there, my dudes, okay? Never, and I mean never, leave a girl hanging. Jokes aside though, real customers understand that their relationship with you doesn't end at checkout. In fact, most buyers will be looking for the ability to contact you if they need to. So always make sure that you've listed your contact information in your store and that it's easy to find. In fact, if you find that customers are responding to you more through reviews, make it a habit to respond to them as quickly as possible. This signals to other buyers that they can rely on you if something goes wrong. Of course, a real pro tip here would be to build following up with every single customer, whether there's an issue or not, into your selling routine. This not only lets you figure out if people are happy with your service or if there's something differently that you could do, but it also gives you an opportunity to ask for things like a review or even user-generated content. Even if you don't end up with either of those things, getting any kind of feedback is incredibly valuable for your business long term. It shows buyers, whether it's about product quality or design ideas, or even just about how to make your services better, that you really care about your business, which in turn will motivate them to tell others about your business. It's a kind of investment that you don't really make with money, but definitely pays off in the long run. Look, building trust is a process that happens before, during, and after making a sale. The important part is recognizing that you can't really have one without the other. Of course, even after all of this, if you find that your product views are still high while your sales remain low, join me in this next video where I'll take a deeper dive into what could be holding your store back from making the profits you deserve. I'll see you there.